Hey, it's John here from John Still Runs. As you can see, I'm walking. A couple of weeks ago, I went for a short run, actually 36 minutes. My increasingly longer incremental run, and at about 1.5 k's, I felt a cramping type feeling on my right inside thigh, and didn't get better, so thought I'd walk home, which I did. And when I got home, I went into the kitchen to get a drink of water. There was a little bit of water on the floor, and I accidentally did the splits, which didn't help the pain in the inner region of the thigh. Got a lot worse, and so much so that at some stage, a few days later, because of the swelling, I took myself off to the emergency department, hoping I didn't have a blood clot or cellulitis, both of which I did not have. It was just a strain. In fact, when I got to work a couple of days later, I'm a physiotherapist, by the way, and I've got my own ultrasound machine. It's not a Doppler ultrasound, just a normal musculoskeletal ultrasonography machine, and I could see a couple of tears in a particular muscle called gracilis. What on earth is gracilis? Well, turns out it can be a very painful muscle when you hurt it. So I have since recommenced walking, and I'm enjoying walking in the gully during a week off work. In fact, I've got 3 weeks off work, week at home, and then 2 weeks in Japan. And you might have thought it was me as the experienced physiotherapist to diagnose my injury as a gracilis tear, but no, it was my very able physiotherapist colleague Anna. Thank you, Anna, for putting me on the right track, diagnosing and giving some great advice. So how am I rehabilitating my grade 2 minus, maybe 2, grade 2 gracilis tear? Well, the first thing is rest. And for the first few days, I did not walk much. In fact, I could not walk much. And then the next phase, I believe, and which was what I do, is to regain some of that range of movement with some gentle exercises. Faber, F-A-B-E-R, flexion, abduction, external rotation. Dynamic, just very slowly, very gently. And then recommencing walking. Oh, by the way, I'm not a great believer in the application of cold packs. I think perhaps for the first couple of hours, application of 20 minutes of a cold pack might reduce the amount of internal bleeding if there is a tear. I am on blood thinners because of my atrial fibrillation, episodic. It's been good lately, so that's excellent. So yeah, cold. After a little while, I only think it causes vasoconstriction, perhaps reduced blood flow, which won't assist the healing processes required for a muscle tear. And then I'm also not a great believer in anti-inflammatory tablets. I think particularly if you've got a tendency, if you're on blood thinners, it can be a problem. But also, there is some evidence that it might slow down the rate of healing, recovering muscle tear. So rest, increase mobility gently, and then recommence activity such as walking, which is what I'm doing now, walking pain-free. The next phase of my recovery has been to introduce some contracting exercises, so getting the adductors, of which gracilis is one, to statically contract using isometric adduction, and I've incorporated that into my morning routine of exercise, which I can still do on the floor, doing various Pilates and yoga moves. And then what's next as I recover from this gracilis injury? Well, I'm going to turn a little bit of walking into the running action, like so. And I'm actually doing that pain-free, but I've decided not to introduce that until I get back from Japan. I do not want to do any further injury before that family trip. As I begin running again, hopefully in about 2.5 weeks, where will I start? Well, that's a question for me, and I think I will go back to my incremental training. I was up to 36 minutes and I completed the second 36 minutes. There's 7 of them at each minute, and I think I might just go back to that, but without running all of it. In fact, I'll probably run very little of that 36 minutes and just slowly feel my way, listening to my body rather than following a set schedule. It's one of the important aspects of rehabilitating back into running following an injury. Listen to what your body is saying.